Well, Israel, meanwhile, is braced for renewed attacks from Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis after the group issued an ultimatum for Israel to restore aid deliveries to Gaza. The Houthis stopped attacking Israel when a ceasefire deal was brokered by the US President Donald Trump back in January. Here's the Houthi leader speaking earlier.
Regarding the deadline for bringing aid into the Gaza Strip, we are sticking to our position, and the armed forces are ready to carry out operations. The procedures will begin to be implemented from the moment the deadline expires, if aid does not enter the Gaza Strip. We emphasize that it is the responsibility of everyone, all Arabs, the entire Islamic world, to seek to bring aid into the Gaza Strip, to pressure for that to happen. Because we know that many of you are not paying attention to this issue at all, so let this serve as a reminder. This responsibility is on everyone.
And in the last hour, there have been reports in the Saudi outlet Al Arabiya that there have been US-led airstrikes on Houthi infrastructure in Yemen. Well, to talk about all of that, we're joined by Emily Milliken. She's an associate director at the Atlantic Council and specialist on Yemen. Thank you very much for being with us, Emily. So does it look like the Houthis are ready to resume their attacks tonight?
Yes, ever since declaring a stop to their operations on international maritime traffic in Israel following the ceasefire agreement in January, the Houthis have been looking for an excuse to resume attacks, and this is the perfect opportunity. These attacks work to bolster their popularity domestically, safeguarding them from discontent over delayed civilian salaries and repression. But they're also masking the fact that they are building up forces and material on the front lines of the oil-rich Marib province, and they may be looking to use these maritime attacks or attacks on Israel to distract the U.S. and its partners from their domestic operations that are meant to take more territorial control of Yemen and give them an upper hand in future peace negotiations.
And as I just mentioned, we are getting reports that there have been US-led airstrikes on the group earlier today. Is that likely to deter them at all?
I don't think that it will do much to deter them. I do know that the Houthis are concerned about a more robust response from the United States, especially with members of Trump's cabinet like Rubio and Waltz taking such a harsh stance against the group in the past. Rubio has even said that he wants to target senior Houthi leadership in weapons depots. But I don't think that these concerns will really be enough to keep the group from committing these attacks because they've proven adept to withstand airstrikes from years of Saudi-led coalition airstrikes and also at hiding their leadership.
And you say the Houthis are trying to expand the territory under their control. How successful have they been with that?
So far, they've limited things to just small attacks and small strikes, but they have been amassing, fighters, weapons, and also building roads and trenches on the front lines of the Marib province. So it's very concerning. There's been reports in Yemeni media that they are planning to simultaneously launch an offensive on Marib at the same time as resuming maritime attacks.
And of course, we know that Yemen is and has for a long time been the poorest country in the Arab world, massive malnutrition across the country. What is the impact of the UN's decision to halt humanitarian aid to the Houthi-controlled areas? They did that, of course, after the Houthis detained some of their staff.
Yes, so the UN halted humanitarian aid operations in the Houthi-controlled area of Sada, which is north of Sana'a, and it's home to about 1 million people. While we don't have exact numbers of the people in Sada who are in need of aid, about 80% of people in the entire country rely on aid, and the area in northern Yemen under Houthi control is particularly under severe humanitarian issues because of things like blockades, the Houthis not distributing aid, poor infrastructure, and lack of access to health care. So the stop is impacting UN programs like the World Food Program, the World Health Organization, and UNICEF that operate in the area and are providing critical care for these Yemenis that are some of the most at risk in the entire country.